Greetings shippers, welcome back. It's the return of late night filming because, well, life. But tonight, we're back with yet another Shippable Moments vid. And no, it's not Destiel Season 8. I'm sorry. This one is taking us back to the realm of DC to take a look at some more SuperBat moments. This time from the DC original animated movieverse. That's a mouthful. We've had quite the journey with SuperBat. We've talked about SuperBat in general and its history. We've talked about moments in the DCAU, and now we're here. So if you missed those vids, you know the drill. Click the card or the link will be down below. This video was actually voted for by the lovely folks over on Patreon, who thank you so much for voting and helping us get to some topics that we may not have got to otherwise for a very long time. Before we get started, if you haven't already, please do follow on social media to stay up to date, know when we're streaming, and just come on over and chit chat about fandom. It's a good time, I swear. And now, it's time for SuperBat. Firstly, what's the difference between the DCAU and these films anyway? Well, the DCAU was an interconnected DC universe that began with the start of Batman the Animated Series in 1992, and ended with the conclusion of Justice League Unlimited in 2006. In that time, the majority of the series created fell into that universe's continuity, with the only exceptions being The Batman, which began airing in 2004, and Teen Titans, which began airing in 2003, both at the tail end of the DCAU. As we discussed in our Thirsty Animated Clex video, after the end of this massive interconnected universe, with the exception of the two tie-in films created for the two aforementioned series, DC animated films had to go in a new direction. And that direction was adapting popular storylines with the occasional original concept film thrown in. This approach has met with various degrees of success. It really depends on the film, some of which take place in their own mini-connected continuities. With this type of format, the types of SuperBat moments you get vary quite a bit, and some would argue are more sparse, but we'll find some. We always do. Number 5, Justice League Gods and Monsters, released in 2015. So this one is interesting. This is an Elseworlds film not based on a comic, but an original film-based outing. It was released alongside a tie-in comic series and short web series outlining the characters' origins and the like. The web series was supposed to continue, but ultimately fell through. This SuperBat outing is unique, as neither Superman or Batman are Clark or Bruce. In this universe, Batman is Kirk Langstrom, and an actual vampire, and Superman is Zod and Lara's son, which has given him some pretty serious dictatorial tendencies. We're using the whole gene-determinist Kryptonian thing. Most of the film is spent navigating this intriguing alternate world created by this new darker triad, which also features a Wonder Woman of the New Gods. However, there is a glimpse of some potential SuperBat at the film's conclusion, after Wonder Woman leaves Earth along with Lex Luthor to explore the galaxy, and Superman and Batman are left alone, and the viewer gets a small glimpse of how close these two could be.
Looks like it's gonna be just the two of us. Should I order out?
Why don't we get started?
With that question and a hand on his shoulder, some fans have been given a fun Elseworlds friends to lovers view on SuperBat, and for some it just gets a boost because of how close Clark and Bruce usually are in the main universe, which can add a kind of transference adjacent shipping kind of thing. This film also sets up its own canon, with a history wherein Superman took in Batman, with the explanation when Batman asks that he was hungry, which of course opens up a whole bunch of vampiric fodder. However, this is a small thing, easily read as friendship, and for some, too small, and for others, they're not interested in SuperBat unless it's Clark and Bruce, which the remaining 4 numbers will provide. Number 4, Justice League Doom. This 2012 movie was very loosely based off of the Tower of Babel storyline, in the fact that it took the core concept of Batman keeping hidden files on the other members of the team in order to neutralize them should the need arise, which backfired, because his files are stolen, because of course they are. The movie deals with all this fallout, but has one of the shippiest moments at its conclusion, in the playing out of a time-honored favorite piece of canon, Superman giving Bruce kryptonite to use against him in case he goes rogue. This handoff is particularly powerful as it comes after all of the madness from the files being stolen. Clark still trusts him and still gives it to him, even after he quit the League in a cowled huff. He does that. It also helps that the box he gives it to him in looks like the box for an engagement ring.
What is it? If the League ever did go over to the wrong side, I want there to be somebody I can trust to keep the planet safe. Even from me.
Fans love this moment for how much it cements the closeness of these two's relationship. Friends, teammates, something more? You decide. Number 3, Justice League War. Okay, so we have to talk about the New 52, DC's relaunch attempt to shake things up, boost sales, and streamline their comics while making them more accessible by removing most of their history, either by entirely retconning characters out of existence, or by booting legacy characters off to another Earth, while some stories were completely unaffected. While there were some good ideas and good comics to come from this, in general it was considered a huge failure, although of course, like with anything, it has been a jumping on point for certain fans. Why is this relevant? Well, because this version of Supes and the Dark Knight come from this continuity, wherein superheroes have only existed for 5 years, and are just emerging on the scene. While the Batman is relatively the same, Superman is not. Younger, more arrogant, and smirky. He has a different relationship with Bruce that even led to an alternate Bruce and Hal pairing. However, this film, adapted from the Justice League origin storyline and released in 2014, gives us their new first meeting, and oh boy, is it unintentionally shippy through a certain lens. For those who like enemies to lovers, this Clark fights first and asks questions later, which results in the rather catty proclamation of, "What can you do?"
So, what can you do?
This fight sets off the tone for a snark-filled relationship of Clark constantly showing off how much he can do to Bruce, who is lukewarm about it, and also just constantly being a little immature. This dynamic continues to develop, with Bruce taking on a slight mentorship role, very slight, as the more established hero. This one translates well with those who feel that these two wouldn't actually get along all that well, at least not initially, and perhaps never with the seamlessness that certain fans seem to think. It works well for those who would enjoy some more smut-filled or putting the other in their place style fare, although of course you can get introspective with it. It's different for sure, but some can't resist those little smirks.
You bruise, but you don't kill, do you? Clark.
You've made your point. Bruce Wayne.
So much sassy invasion of privacy from both of them. Number 2, Superman/Batman Apocalypse. The second adaptation to come from a certain Batman and Superman comic series we will highlight in our most shippable moment. This film was released in 2010 and focused on a retelling of Supergirl's arrival on Earth that sees her almost joining forces with Darkseid, and also a lot of crop tops and uncomfortable sexiness.
Well?
No way.
Perfect. I'll take it.
However, underneath all of this is the core foundation of a close relationship between Bruce and Clark. Arguably the biggest moment can be seen when Clark has Bruce come over to the Fortress of Solitude, which oftentimes is anything but, to run some tests. A lot of things are revealed here that can be quite intriguing for the shipping inclined, that he knows his way around, and is fond of crypto. Also, when they argue about Kara, they come off like an old married couple, arguing about their rebellious teenage daughter. This one is a great one for people who enjoy a more established feeling fare. The idea that these two have just been together for a long time, which, when one thinks about how long each character has existed for, they kinda have. Number 1, you knew it was coming, you were waiting. You've been waiting since the comments on the last SuperBat vid. It's Superman/Batman, Public Enemies. The whole thing. But what else would you expect from a movie prominently featuring a slash in the title itself? This movie was an adaptation of the first major story arc of the Superman/Batman monthly comic series that began in 2003, and was one of the most shippable comic series of all time, featuring contrasting word balloons that would often have each character finishing off or paralleling each other's thoughts. Incidentally, Superman/Batman Apocalypse was the second big story arc to come out of this comic series, which ran up until 2011, right before the New 52 came out, and as we all know, changed things. Still, this series graced the world with this 2009 film that is essentially just one large shippable moment. We have all the tropes shippers love. Superman having an open invitation to just hang out in the Batcave, where the two will actually talk and banter back and forth.
You're going to go ahead and meet with him, aren't you?
You know me too well. I can't just stand back and do nothing.
Well, when it all goes south, don't count on me to save you.
I won't. I know you pretty well too.
Batman dropping everything to save an injured Clark whilst shushing him when he tries to talk by saying, "Don't worry about that now." Superman ending up having to save Batman while injured himself.
It's not ending here. I won't let it.
It's not ending like this indeed. Also, we need to talk about how Clark helps him out of the Batwing. Just look at it. no words. This whole film is one giant ship fest to the point where that's what people remember most about it, aside from Power Girl's bosom and Lex kissing Amanda Waller. Shipping aside, it's an entertaining romp. When you add that factor on top of it, it makes it so much more watchable for the shipping inclined. If one was ever on the fence as to how anyone could ever ship SuperBat, this movie makes a strong case. Now, this film is often mistaken for being part of the DCAU, most probably because its title characters of Batman and Superman are also voiced by their DCAU actor counterparts, as is the case with Superman Apocalypse and also Justice League Doom. The voice actor factor tends to add an extra layer of enjoyment for older fans, or simply fans of the DCAU, but also adds a layer of shippability for those who feel almost as if it is a continuation of the relationship that Clark and Bruce had in that universe. DC is definitely not done adapting storylines and creating original films yet, so there are potentially more SuperBat moments coming in the future to amaze, astound, and awaken the inner shipper of fans everywhere. So those were 5 shippable moments from the DC original animated films. Are they your favorites? Do you have other moments that you feel are much more shippable or just deserve an honorable mention? Are you more of a Clark don't touch anything from Throne of Atlantis, or an only Superman can save us from Death of Superman kind of person? Let me know down below. And remember, it's all in good fun. Everybody has different ships, different moments, different things that float their boat, but one of the best things about being fans and keeping fandom fundum is sharing all of that together. Even if one feels that they're better as enemies, it's just fun to take a look at the Dark Knight and the Big Blue Boy Scout. Thanks so much for taking some time out of your day to spend it discussing shipping with me. I always appreciate it. And a special thanks to those who voted. And at the time of this recording, there's another vote ongoing. There are, as always, more videos coming soon, so if you haven't already, please do subscribe and hit that bell notification so that you never miss a vid. I will see you all again when I can, and until then, let's get to the outro. Bye-bye. This has been Shipper's Guide to the Galaxy. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Special thanks to all of my patrons, names on the side, for helping to make these videos possible. There are, as always, more videos coming soon, so until then, stay tuned, for there are as many ships out there as there are stars in the sky.